Yes, there's another new book. Book number 25. I apologise, but I have to write. This is not... I don't write for the money because we never make money. And this is why we have to crowdfund. And I suppose this, or to be honest and open and transparent, we do need more crowdfunders. Have only got half of what we need. And without financing, we cannot afford to publish. Or to get the books printed. So that's the situation. But what about the book itself? I can honestly say that it's the most important book I've written, which I tend to say when I write every book. In fact, I wouldn't write a book if I didn't think that it's the most important book I've ever written. But I like to think that it's an upward scale, and each book is more important than the one before. So I feel this one really sets the seal on all the books that have preceded it, in terms of giving an understanding to the church. Excuse me about that. And particularly all those that clamour and desire and hope for things things to be happening in the church, for revival. I think the clue may be in what you read in the book. One New Man. Okay, the book could have been called One New Man, but it's not just about that. The book is about Shalom. It's about completeness, and there are three levels of completeness, I believe, for believers. Firstly, when you become a believer, the completeness of being where God wants you to be as part of His family, and going through the processes, and that is what I would call the Shalom of salvation. Then once you're in the club, what do? You don't sit around waiting for the afterlife where you can float in the clouds or whatever. God has a job for us all to do. So the Shalom of unity is about finding your place within God's kingdom, and function and form is something I've been drumming on about for the last couple of books, and I'll just take that to a little bit a deeper level in this book. But probably 50-60% of the book is about the Shalom of oneness, one new man. God has been really speaking to me on this, and though I don't have all the answers, and I certainly don't, those who know me know that I don't go too deep into the theology. If you want the theology, there's a bit of it in the book, but come to Foundations 11 and get it from David Andrew and David Sell, because they'll be hitting this subject purely from a theological perspective. So, but there's more to it than that. The way I see it is, one new man never actually happened, and I know plenty of fellowships call themselves one new man, maybe more out of hope than reality, I believe. If you look through church history, there's never been a time in history where Jew and Gentile have worshipped in unity, without hostility, without any barrier between them, and furthering the cause of the church. If you read Ephesians 2, and particularly Ephesians 3, you realise that one new man is a key to the church functioning fully. So much so that I think in Ephesians 3:10, it even sends out a marker to the heavenly forces, to the spiritual forces of darkness out there, saying this is the church as it is meant to be. One new man, Jew and Gentile together. And the book goes into that, mainly on practical things. What has the Gentiles done for the church? It has to be a balanced thing from the Gentile side, from the Jewish side. Most One New Man initiatives tend to focus on the Jewish side in a way of maybe swinging the scales back towards the Jew and away from the Gentile because of the bad 2,000 years of Gentile history. Well, I don't think that... I can understand that, but in reality, God wants balance. He wants Jew and Gentile to live together without hostility, in peace, in shalom. So there has to be an acknowledgement of the Gentiles as well as the Jews. What has the Gentile church given us? And that is answered in a chapter in the book. You have to read the book to find out. And what would the Jews have given us if one new man had been allowed to flourish right from the first century onwards? And I looked through 6 or 7, 8, 9 things that the church would benefit from and can still benefit from, and this is what we want to encourage at our conferences, and those who went to Foundations 10, I gave a brief summary of this, And the things, the key things that I mentioned I could have mentioned in the list I've just hinted at, all those things were actually present at Foundations 10, and I think it contributed to the fact that God really blessed that conference. So God can bless the church. I do believe this is not a strategy. This is not motivational sort of writing. This is, I believe, something from the heart of God. I only write books if I feel God is speaking to my heart. There's a big process within me when I start a book, because I usually have 3 or 4 different options, and I do believe this is the one I'm meant to write. And it's been finished, it's been typeset now, but we don't have enough money to publish it. So this is a plea. We're going to launch it March 22nd at our conference, Foundations 11. Got a separate video about that. If you can, love it if you can help us by crowdfunding, which means sending us £100 for 10 books. You get those 10 books as soon as they come from the printers, and you can give them away or sell them. Do whatever you like with them. Use them as doorstops, as some have, and we all benefit. I do believe. So just pray, be prayerful about this. More information, go to www.saltshakers.com. So shalom and get shalom. Shalom.